Right now, President Trump is seizing this time when Congress is out and many people tune out of politics to try to seize powers at the limits of presidential authority.
Here we go again, folks. Whenever you're not looking, Trump is. That's his playbook. Wait until Congress is out of town, wait until the press is distracted by some other circus act, and then boom, power grab. You know who else did this? Authoritarians around the world. It's literally how democracy crumbles, not overnight, but little by little. When leaders push boundaries at the exact moments when people aren't paying attention, and let's be real, most Americans don't. Have the luxury of paying attention 24/7. You're working double shifts. You're helping your kids with school. You're trying to pay rent in an economy where groceries cost as much as car payments. Trump counts on that. He counts on apathy, counts on exhaustion. So what's he doing with this little power grab? He's testing the Constitution. He's asking, how far can I push before people snap? It's like a kid in a candy store, testing how many lollipops he can stuff in his pocket before the cashier says, hey, stop stealing. Like, this isn't candy, it's American democracy. And the GOP, silent, because they love when power shifts toward the presidency. As long as it's their guy, if a Democrat tried this, Fox News would have tyrant alert graphics 24/7. But Trump? Crickets.
Trump continuing to deploy federal troops in the streets, changing the look and feel of what was very recently a more peaceful, normal Washington, now with these militarized scenes.
Imagine being a tourist coming to D.C. for the first time. You're expecting monuments, cherry blossoms, maybe some school groups taking selfies. Instead, you get tanks, riot shields, and unidentified federal troops marching down Constitution Avenue. That's not democracy. That's not freedom. That's intimidation. And let's talk about the hypocrisy here. Conservatives always scream about small government. They don't want the government telling corporations to pay a living wage. They don't want the government giving you health care. But the government sending troops into American streets to flex on peaceful protesters? Oh, suddenly big government is fine. Suddenly the feds aren't overreaching, they're restoring order. Please, and make no mistake, this isn't about security. DC wasn't under siege by some invading army. This was about optics. Trump wanted the photo op of looking like a strong man. He wants Washington to look less like a city and more like a stage set for his authoritarian cosplay. You know who else loved the optics of tanks rolling through cities? Dictators. That's what they do. They turn fear into theater.
And Trump is claiming he can unilaterally fire a member of the Independent Federal Reserve, Lisa Cook, seen there with the Chairman Powell. And he's trying to tip the majority of what has always been this legally independent central banking board.
Let me put this into perspective. The Federal Reserve is designed to be independent for one very good reason, so politicians can't rig the economy for short-term political gains. Now along comes Trump, a guy whose business record includes 4 bankruptcies, failed casinos, and Trump steaks, and he thinks he should have the power to fire Fed members. This is like letting the arsonist join the fire department because he likes fire. Think about why he's doing this. If Trump can tip the Fed in his favor, suddenly interest rates, monetary policy, even market stability, all of that becomes a tool for his re-election campaign. Forget long-term stability. Forget protecting the dollar. Forget American families struggling with inflation. He just wants numbers that look good on TV. That's not capitalism. It's not free markets. It's cronyism on steroids. And the silence from Republicans. Deafening. Imagine for a second if Biden tried this. Imagine if Obama had even suggested that he could unilaterally fire someone from the Fed. Sean Hannity would still be foaming at the mouth about it today. But Trump? Oh, that's just draining the swamp. Yeah, okay.
Trump's DOJ also investigating her for a mortgage application. This was from before she took this post. There's been no charges or official findings against her. Financial experts widely view that reference as a kind of a fake, a pretext for Trump's desire to consolidate power.
Ah, Lisa Cook, the first black woman appointed to the Federal Reserve Board. Brilliant economist, widely respected. And what does Trump do? He sends his DOJ after her because of, wait for it, a mortgage application. Not fraud. Not corruption. A mortgage application. This isn't about law. This isn't about ethics. This is about control. Trump doesn't want smart, independent experts at the Fed. He wants yes-men and loyalists. And when he can't get loyalty, he goes. For the smear, he weaponizes the Department of Justice to scare people into silence. This is classic authoritarian behavior. You don't need to actually find dirt on your enemies. You just need the investigation itself. You just need the headline. You just need the cloud of suspicion. And by the way, can we talk about the double standard? Trump University literally defrauded thousands of people. The Trump Foundation got shut down for corruption. Jared and Ivanka made millions in shady deals. While sitting in the White House, but Lisa Cook, oh no, she needs investigating because of a mortgage. Yeah, totally makes sense.
When you talk about American exceptionalism, one of the key components has been the independence of the Federal Reserve.
In this case, the president, I guess, is judge and jury?
Without her being charged, it's really difficult to fire her because you're just basically saying, yeah, listen, she may have committed fraud, I'm firing her.
History shows that politicians who mess with the independence of central banks are playing with fire.
Playing with fire is right, except this isn't just playing with fire. This is tossing lit matches into a room full of gasoline. America's financial system works because the world believes it's stable. It's predictable, independent of political drama. That's why the dollar is strong. That's why investors put their money here. That's why countries trust us bonds. Trump wants to blow all of that up so he can goose the stock market for a few months and claim victory. He's willing to gamble the global economy for his ego. And here's the kicker. Republicans used to care about this. They built their entire brand on fiscal responsibility. But now, they'll happily let Trump torch the Fed as long as he keeps owning the libs on Twitter. Fiscal responsibility died the moment Trump became their messiah.
Nobel Prize-winning economist Paul Krugman was laying out the stakes of why this is both autocratically similar to some of those other problems I mentioned, but also higher stakes because he says Fed Chair Powell must hold the line. If he caves, the implications are profound and disastrous. The U.S. well on its way to becoming Turkey, where an authoritarian ruler imposed crackpot economics on the central bank.
Krugman isn't exaggerating here. Authoritarian economics looks good on the surface, but it's a disaster underneath. Look at Turkey. Look at Venezuela. Look at Hungary. Leaders get their hands on monetary policy, manipulate it to stay popular. And next thing you know, inflation skyrockets. Economies collapse. And ordinary people pay the price. Trump wants to turn the U.S. into that kind of playground. He doesn't care if your savings vanish or your retirement account crumbles. He cares about the short-term headlines that make him look like a business genius. This is why experts are warning that if Powell caves, it's game over for Fed independence. And once the Fed falls, every other supposedly independent institution is on the chopping block. Courts, media, military authoritarians don't stop at one branch of power. They take them all.
On Friday, the FBI going in and out of his home and office. Again, I told you it's not always partisan. He's not just a Republican. He was a longtime conservative Republican, then a MAGA Republican in that senior post for Trump. But it's not enough if you are on the wrong side of him now. That's the thing about autocratic leaders. So he's facing a crackdown that raises huge questions for the FBI and DOJ. We have not seen public evidence to substantiate the search on your screen. We also, journalistically, will keep an open mind. If evidence comes to light that suggests this is a very valid case and not just a response to Trump's public calls to punish him, we'll report that as well. But clearly, big questions here, and it's not in a vacuum. Again, the theme tonight, the theme based on reality. Trump is talking up a federal probe of another Republican critic, Chris Christie, who used to also be a federal prosecutor. He's pushing.
This is the part where even conservatives should be terrified. Trump isn't just going after Democrats. He's going after Republicans who don't bow down. John Bolton, his own national security advisor. Chris Christie, one of the most loyal Republicans out there. And yet the second they criticize him, the second they stop clapping, boom, federal investigations. This is pure strongman politics. Loyalty isn't enough. You have to worship him. You have to sacrifice your integrity at the altar of Trump. Or else, and this is where history gets dark, because authoritarians don't just punish enemies. They purge allies. They demand absolute obedience. And once you've purged everyone, The only voices left are the sycophants. That's how democracies rot from the inside.
The Trump administration wants to buy up private companies so this administration can exert more control. So for executives who thought the pressure would be put on others, they are quickly learning more hard lessons. This administration taking, for example, a whole 10th stake in the giant chip maker Intel.
Can you explain the rationale behind taking this 10% stake?
They worked out a deal where Intel is going to get the chips money, but in exchange, we're going to get some equity.
So we should expect the U.S. government to be taking more equity stakes in businesses around the country.
This is my favorite part. The guy who screams socialism every time someone mentions healthcare is now buying up private companies with taxpayer money. That's not capitalism. That's state-run corporatism. That's socialism for the rich, capitalism for the poor. Let's spell it out. When workers ask for healthcare, Republicans say, sorry, that's socialism. When students ask for affordable education, they say, can't do it, socialism. But when Trump hands taxpayer dollars to giant corporations, suddenly that's smart business. The hypocrisy is off the charts. Like a fans chant no. Socialism at rallies while their guy is literally nationalizing chunks of corporate America. If Bernie Sanders had proposed this, Fox News would call it communism. But when Trump does it, genius.
And yet, as in so many other situations, he seems to give away where his mind is going, musing twice in 2 days about a dictatorship.
And they say, we don't need him, freedom, freedom. He's a dictator, he's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator.
Twice in 2 days, Trump muses about being a dictator. Folks, that's not a joke. That's not a slip. It's a test balloon. That's how authoritarians operate. They say it jokingly at first. They laugh. Their supporters laugh. Media chuckles nervously. And before you know it, the joke becomes policy. We've seen this movie before. Leaders around the world have floated dictatorship as a joke, only to make it reality once people got numb to it. Trump isn't unique. He's following the same script, and anyone who says, maybe we'd like a dictator, has no business calling themselves an American. Because at that point, you're not defending freedom, you're begging for its destruction. So let's add it all up. Troops in the streets, asterisk attacking. Independent institutions, weaponizing the DOJ, punishing critics, buying up corporations, flirting with dictatorship. That's not leadership. That's not democracy. It's authoritarianism. Plain and simple. And the scariest part. Half the country is so numb, so exhausted. They might not even notice it happening until it's too late. So here's my challenge. Pay attention. Speak up. Don't let fatigue become surrender. Because Trump is betting on our silence. And if he wins that bet, we all lose. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Trump is actually serious about becoming a dictator? Or is this just another con to rile up his base? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all.